We are now streaming on YouTube as well. Again, if you have any questions, you can always go to the chat and just ask questions. I like to talk to myself. That's why you got the feed. Nobody else listens to me. Great. All right. I see there's already somebody watching on YouTube. If there's anybody watching, you can always chat in the YouTube live chat. I see all the chats here. So if anybody has any questions during the chapter, Zoom or YouTube chat or WhatsApp, I prefer if you guys don't use it. But I see everything here. All right. So let's talk about the real estate business. Now, this chapter, guys, it's not there's no highlights. I mentioned this before already. There's no highlights in this chapter. But you guys are going to notice that in the next chapters, the ebook is already pre-highlighted for you. All right. So the only thing I want you guys to understand as we go through this particular chapter is, again, that this is an overview of the business itself. So I will repeat everything here several times. We're going to talk about real estate professions, real estate brokerage, professional organizations, and regulation and licensing. All right. Madian Palomino. All right. I'm from Georgia. Hey, what's up, Georgia? Cool. All right. So the good thing about this chapter and the first 25 chapters is that this is the national portion, so it applies to every state. Oh, that's another thing, guys. We're expanding to 14 states over the course of 2021. And 2022, if everything goes well, we'll be in all 50 states. All right. So, Madian, I'm glad I can help you. I appreciate that. I'm glad I can help you with your state test over there. All right. Learn much more than your online course. That's always great news. I'll do my best. All right. So, real estate professions, guys. We have real estate activities, professional specialties, and property type specialization. So, I'll speak really fast in this chapter. The next chapter I will slow down a little bit. But right here, in the broadest sense, you guys can see it, right? You're good? In the broadest sense, the real estate industry is the largest single industry in the American economy. Without real estate, nothing else works. Pretty much that's what we're saying. Without real estate, nothing else works. Within it, one might include the construction industry itself, often considered our country's largest business. In addition, the real estate industry may be said to include the creation, management, demolition of every residence and business facility in the nation. So offices, warehouses, factories, stores, and special purpose buildings such as hospitals and government facilities. The real estate business would include as well the managing of all undeveloped land in the country, so national parks, forests, and the vast quantity of unused federal property. Now, real estate professionals are individuals and business organizations whose sole enterprise is performing a real estate related service or function. And a wide range of professions is available to persons wishing to enter the real estate business. So, real estate professionals perform the following property related functions: creation and improvement, management and maintenance, demolition, investment ownership, regulation, and transfer. Now, do we get involved in all of these? The answer is no. We don't get involved in all of these, but you need to know everything that real estate entails and then figure out where we're involved. Okay? We have the creation and improvement. Hold on a second, I'm sorry. Sorry, I have one person that can't get in right now. Hey, Danny, if you're listening, is there any way you can help your brother? Alex can't get in for some reason. All right. So the creation and improvements. Creating real properties from raw land involves capital formation, financing, construction, contracting, and regulatory approvals. And the key parties involved in this aspect of the business are generally the developer. So we have the developer, we have a landowner, mortgage lender. Did you see? No, you don't have to highlight. Don't worry about this chapter yet. I'm just pointing out a few things. That's why I use the magic ink. If you guys see it, it appears. What was I saying? Do you guys see realtors here? Real estate salespersons or brokers? Do you see it here? So far, no. Also involved are market analysts, architects, engineers, space planners, interior designers, and construction subcontractors. So again, no realtors, no salespeople. In the creation and improvement, we don't get involved. Experts who manage the legal aspects of the development project include real estate attorneys, right? Attorneys, title companies, surveyors, property insurance companies, and government regulatory officials. Again, still does not talk about us. But then says the brokerage community, with the assistance of professional appraisers, usually handles what? What do we handle? We handle the ownership and leasing transactions. We're going to talk about this several times. No magic ink on this one. We're going to talk about this several times. We handle the ownership and leasing transaction. What does that mean? We help people sell or rent. Every time we talk about ownership transaction or leasing transaction, it's sell or rent. Okay? Management and maintenance. All real estate, whether raw land or improved property, which we're going to talk about in the next chapter, must be managed and maintained. And the two principal types of managers are property managers and asset managers. Have you ever heard of this? Property managers and asset managers? Or just property managers? Okay. Guys, just raise your hand if you heard of asset managers. Nope? Okay. So only property managers. That's what usually we hear, right? People talk about. So here's the thing. Property managers and their staff, what they do is they oversee specific properties on behalf of the owners. Again, on behalf of the owners. Making sure the condition of the property, its financial performance, meets specific standards. So what property managers do is they oversee the property and its, obviously, management. While asset managers, they oversee groups of properties or portfolios. Groups of properties or portfolios. So not one property that I manage, it's several properties or portfolios of properties. And their role is to achieve the investment objectives of the owners as opposed to managing the day-to-day operations. So property managers, what do? Manage day-to-day operations. Asset managers, what do? They oversee the investment of the owners. Let's put it like that. Okay? Guys, I see some people talking. Make sure you guys are alone. It's 4 weeks fully dedicated to this, please. Kick everybody else out. Put them in the closet if you have to. Lock them in cages if you have them. Do whatever. That's what you did with your mom, right? I know. Sebastian is like, yep, that's what I did. All right. Danny, he needs to, if his email is not working to sign in Zoom, that's something between him and Zoom. He needs to reset his password or create a new email for it. Okay. Zenaidi, I got it. No problem. All right, the next thing we have is demolition. You guys think we're involved in demolition? No. Not. I mean, you can if you want to, if you feel, like you want to be one of those people on HGTV where they grab the hammer and go, oh, let me try, and start knocking things down. You can, but we don't usually get involved in this. So demolition experts in construction, in conjunction with excavation, and debris removal experts, serve to remove properties that are no longer economically viable from the market. The investment ownership. A specialized niche in real estate business is the real estate investor who risks capital in order to buy hold and sell real estate properties. In contrast to property owners whose primary interest is in some other business, the real estate investor focuses on identifying and exploiting real estate investment opportunities for profit. Okay? So, again, in contrast to property owners, right? What is a property owner? If I have my own single family, right? I'm a property owner. I'm not an investor. I'm a property owner, right? To some degree, we're investors because if you buy a house to live in, you invest it in yourself, right? To some degree, we're investors. But when we're talking about real estate investors, as we have here in the book, talking about real estate investors, these are people that are constantly looking to make more money, right? So they buy and they sell, or they buy multiple properties and hold, right? So it depends. But what they do is they identify and they exploit real estate investment opportunities for profits. Okay? Regulation. So all real estate is to some degree regulated by the government. We're going to talk about that several times. And the principal areas of regulation are usage, taxation, and housing administration. The professional regulatory functions include public planners, zoning administrators, building inspectors, assessors, and administrators of specific federal statutes such as federal fair housing laws, which is for discrimination, right? Protecting against discrimination, right? And we have a chapter just for that as well, because discrimination is big in the business, and you guys need to be able to not discriminate at all right? So I'm giving you a fair heads up. If you intend to discriminate, you can terminate this session right now, or you can leave. No refunds for discriminators, just letting you know, okay? Transfer. You guys remember we talked about transfer already? Anybody remembers that we talked about transfer already or no? No? Didn't we talk about ownership and leasing transfer? We did, real quick, right? Let me see. Ooh, right there, right at the beginning of this page. Ownership and leasing transactions. That's a transfer transaction, right? So here at the bottom of the page, it says transfer. Guess where we get involved? In the transfer of real estate. This is where we get involved. So rights and interests of real estate can be bought and sold, assigned, leased, exchanged, inherited, or otherwise transferred from one owner to the other. And real estate brokers and broker salespeople are generally centrally involved in such transfers. This is where we get involved. Other professional participants are mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, appraisers, insurers, and title companies. So these are the players that you're going to have in the real estate business. So every time you go out for a deal, make sure you have your team of brokers or bankers, team of appraisers, insurers, and title companies, as well as attorneys. Okay? So real quick, these are the 6 primary functional areas that we are involved with in somehow. So it's the creating, and these are the people involved. So developers, public and private planners, architects, building contractors, space planners, mortgage lenders, bankers, title and escrow companies, insurers, real estate brokers and agents, and the list goes on and on. Managing and maintaining, destroying, holding, regulating, and transferring. These are the main areas where of real estate, right? Now, in addition to specializing by function, many professionals also specialize in the type of property they work with. Now, before I start reading what we have here, the type of properties we work with. In the beginning, guys, you're going to be salespeople for the whole state of New Jersey or the whole state of New York, or we have Georgia, right? For the whole state of Georgia. You're going to be everywhere. Why? Because your license is a state license, is not a municipal license. You guys understand? It's not a county license. It's a state license. So in the beginning, you're going to be hungry and you're trying to grab everything you can, right? The problem is you're going to realize real quick that you're wasting time and money. How do you waste money? Well, your car, for instance, right? You have to pay the car, you have to put gas. You might have to pay tolls. You might have to change your tires and oil because you're using it too much, right? Going everywhere. But eventually, you start narrowing down hopefully you do this, start narrowing down to a particular niche. And that niche could be your property type. Your niche could be a particular area. It could be a particular type of transaction. That's what we're going to go over right now. So some agents, they specialize in residential property. Now, what is residential property? You're talking about homeowners. Easy, right? Some agents specialize in commercial property. Like, I don't do commercial. I specialize in residential. Even as an investor, I don't do commercial. I'll just do residential. Okay? That's my niche. That's what I'm comfortable with, and that's what I went for, and it's been great for me. So why change what's being great, right? That's the way I feel, at least. I'll get involved in commercial property with somebody that knows commercial property. But I'm not going to try to learn it by myself. That's what I'm trying to say. I'll work with people that are experts in those areas, and people expert in commercial property, they work with me. You guys understand? For the residential portion. We also have investment property. We already talked about that. And industrial and a bunch of other things. So in the next page, you have this. You could be dealing with residential, residential income, because there's a difference in there, office, retail, industrial, farm and ranch, special purpose, and land. I know nothing about farm and ranch. So don't ask me to help you buy a farm. You guys understand this? I know somebody that's a pro at farm and ranches, and I work with her if I have somebody that wants to be a farmer. Simple. The real estate business is great, and there's nothing wrong with sharing. You guys understand? I don't make a full commission. I also don't make a fool of myself. See the difference between the fools? Right. So don't make fools of yourselves. That's the way it is. I do pretty much this is what I focus on. Me personally. As an investor and as a realtor, this is what I focus on. Residential and residential income. What's the difference between these two? Well, residential is where you live. Residential income, you're talking about multifamilies, apartment buildings. It's still residential income properties. And then there's commercial, which is for business, retail, and so on. All right? So that's my specialization. All right, as far as real estate brokerage. Real estate brokers, there's forms of specialization, skills and knowledge. So we go back to specializing in something. But look what it says. The very first sentence says, most newly licensed practitioners choose to begin their real estate careers in what type of brokerage? Residential. You know why? The easiest one. Residential brokers is the easiest one. Oh, Bruno, you're telling me that it's easy, so I'm going to start making money next month? No, it's not like that either. It's the easiest because it's the highest or the fastest turnaround time. For commercial, for industrial, even for farm. How many farms are there for sale? How many people are willing to buy a farm? Right? What about commercial? You guys see buildings that are vacant, retail stores that are vacant for years. Right? So the reason why I always recommend residential first, because there's always somebody that wants to either buy a house, sell a house, or rent. Those are the fast turnarounds. Those are the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month max turnaround. You guys understand? Commercial, industrial could be 6 months, could be a year, could be 10 years, depending on the type of property. Right? And the same for farmland. Now, what is the primary real estate brokerage activities? What are you required to do in the brokerage? With that being said, before you guys answer, because I want answers, my first question then is, what is brokerage? Anybody? What is brokerage? You guys have to participate as well, so go to the Zoom chat and answer. What is brokerage? Helps a realtor? What is brokerage? Not broker, brokerage. The word brokerage. We're talking about real estate brokerage. Anybody? Has to do with money? Well, somewhat. You guys are like, Bruno, it's not even 11 o'clock. You're asking questions already? Is that what it is? It's too early? Leslie wrote, like Weichert or Weichert or Coldwell Banker. Okay, yeah. Well, that's the real estate brokerage, but what does the term brokerage mean? What is brokerage? What is brokering? Brian says they're in charge of everything. Olga says agents. Come on, guys. What do you think? Marian says company you work under. They oversee real estate agents and transactions. They oversee transactions. What is brokering? Kinda, yes. Everybody else? Going once? Twice? No? All right. So brokering is pretty much facilitating. There's a product out there and there's somebody that wants to buy that product. What do? We're in between, we broker the deal. We help the buyer find the product, right? And to find the product, we need to find the seller that wants to sell it. So what we do is we facilitate the transaction by helping both sides. That's what it is. So real estate brokerage is not just somebody that oversees transactions or an agency that oversees transactions. It's somebody that helps broker the deal or conclude the deal. So we help a buyer find a seller and the seller find a buyer. That's our job. Okay, we broker. We have nothing to sell. We have nothing to buy. We have nothing to rent. It's not us. It's either the seller or the buyer or the tenant and the landlord. They're the ones that that actually do the transaction. What we do, facilitate. Got it? So Lula wrote, usually brings the client and customer together. They handle transactions. Boom. Real estate brokerage, we bring the buyers and sellers together. And then we handle the transaction. Okay? You got to remember that. So our job right here is to locate a buyer for a seller, locate a seller for a buyer, locate a tenant for a landlord, locate a landlord for a tenant. That's our job, guys. We're scouts. That's it. All right. In the next page, in the modern brokerage environment, brokers and agents specialize along the following lines. Like I said, property type, geographical area, type of transaction, type of client, and type of relationship. In the beginning, you'll do it all, and then you start specializing in one of these. So property type. You could be a residential agent, commercial agent, industrial agent, or land agent, as we just said. All right. Geographical area, like I said, our license is for the whole state. It's a state license, not a municipal license. But a lot of realtors start focusing down, or brokers and agents start focusing down on a particular market. Like, for instance, my market, what I prefer is Newark. If I go out of Newark, it's because somebody really asked for me to do so. Otherwise, I try not to. I refer to somebody outside of Newark. If I cannot, I just give the referral. Go ahead, help out, right? So geographical area, focus in a particular area. Type of transaction, it could be sales transaction, it could be leases, subleases, exchange, and options, right? Type of client. Some people, and I'll tell you right now, I had an agent years ago when I met him. All he was doing was rentals. He didn't care about sales at all. All he was doing was rentals. And he was making a lot of money with that. All right, so once you start focusing on one thing, that's when you start making a lot of money. If you're trying to grab everything, then there's an issue. You might not get anything. When you try to grab everything, you might not get it all. All right? Next, we have type of relationship. So you guys are going to learn later the type of relationships that we can get involved. So in recent years, many brokers have specialized in providing advisory services to clients instead of traditional transaction-based commission-compensated services. In the advisory relationship, the broker works on identified real estate tasks and projects in exchange for a fee, salary, or a retainer. So as an advisor, guys, or a fee advisor, hey, I'm just helping you figure out the value of your home. Or I'll help you fill out a lease, right? That's it. You still have to review with your attorney, right? But I'm just helping you fill it out. If you want to review with your attorney, that's up to you. I'm not a lawyer, but I'll help you fill it out. Here's the cost. We do comps or BPOs. That means we're trying to figure out comparables to your property and give you an estimate of value. I can give you a market estimate, what's happening in the market around you, and charge you a fee. Does not mean that I'm involved in the transaction. Okay? I'm just providing you a service, and that's what fee advisory is. So again, comparative market analysis, database search, prospect screening, or site analysis. That's all we're doing. The next thing we need to understand is skills and knowledge. And guys, I know you're going to be completely lost in the first day. It's usually like that. A lot of info. First chapter, I'm just brief overview. We're going to repeat all this. But skills and knowledge, right? Skills and knowledge are very, very important. Because if you don't develop the skills, right, to help your clients, then you are not doing any service to your client. You cannot just say, yeah, I'm a real estate agent, and then not learn what real estate agent means, not learn what it means to represent somebody, not learn what it means to analyze a market, for instance, local market conditions, local properties, real estate principles, real estate law. It's your job to know all this stuff. Do we need to know in detail, in depth? No. Some of these things we just need to know somebody that knows what it is. But that's what this course is all about. You still need to know the basics. Even though you need to know somebody that knows, right? Your job is knowing the basics. You guys are going to learn in chapter 17, for instance, financing. We don't do mortgages. The loan officer does mortgages. But you have to know the different types of mortgages out there and how it works, what are the mechanisms, right? We don't do title. Title company does. But you're still going to see in chapter 6, you're going to learn about title transfers and how they work, how it operates. Are you guys understanding this? So, do we need to know in detail? No. But we need to know the basics strong enough to also be able to call people out, call the professionals out and say, hey, I'm still waiting on this. It should have been done before that. Usually that's how it is. Like call people out. Okay? Investment principles, license laws. And yes, guys, you need to know math. We have a chapter just for math, so it'll be easy. And then the skills, it's financial qualifications. So I said we don't do mortgages, but you need to be able to help somebody understand if they could buy a house or not. If it's somebody that has $0 in the bank account and their credit sucks, I don't think you're going to, oh, but I have a good job. A good job, good income, nothing in your bank account, and bad credit, you're not getting a house. Does not matter how much money you have, unless you have 100% of the money, right? But it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're looking for financing, you need good credit, and you need to show that you have money in the bank. Those are basic principle of financial qualifications. If you don't have those, you're not getting anything. All right? Market analysis, marketing practices. So yes, how to market your properties, your listings. Ethical practices. This is key. We're going to learn a lot about this. And the majority of the exam revolves around ethics, right? So ethical practices. Liability management. So you're not at fault for something that was not your fault. Remember, what does that mean? It means that sometimes we're not at fault, right? We did not know, but should have known. It's our job to ask questions also, not just rely on what the seller says or what the buyer says, right? Data management, selling, time management, this is key. Communication, writing, and basic computer operations. All right, next. Professional organizations. All right, very simple. The next page we have, and we're done with this chapter. We'll take a quick break. But in this next page, guys, I know you guys see some staticky here. I know that. But in the next page, this list is professional organizations. And why do we have professional trade organizations? Well, it's kind of like to help us specialize in certain things. So if it's if you're going to be an appraiser, then it's obvious you should be part of the American Society of Appraisers. If you're going to be a home inspector, you should be part of the American Society of Home Inspectors, and so on. For us, CCIM. CCIM is a commercial, certified commercial investment member. So if you want to deal with commercial properties, maybe this is a great resource. Investment real estate management, IREM. You get a CPM or certified property manager designation by going through their training. Okay. And we have more on the right hand side. We have the main one, which is the National Association of Realtors. This is what most of you will be part of. And again, all these trade organizations, they were created to help us develop our skills and knowledge and be able to help the consumers of the product. What is the product? The real estate market. So in order to be able to help them, they require us to increase our skills and knowledge through these organizations. All right? As far as regulation and licensing, the only thing you need to know right now in this chapter is that everything is regulated by state. Pretty much, we're going to learn. The federal gets involved also here under environmental and fair housing. And then state talks about agency contracts and disclosure. All right, so this is federal and this is state. If you guys want to take note, that's federal and this is state. Hold on, I have a question here. Can you represent a client with selling their home and use that sale money to buy a new one? Would that be a dual agency? So hold on. You're asking if I can help a client sell their home and then help them buy a home with the money that they just made on the sale? If that's the question, we can do it. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not the money that defines what we can do or not do. As far as dual agency, no. Dual agency means you represent both the buyer and the seller at the same time, the same transaction. So dual agency, don't worry about it yet. We have that on chapter 11. But dual agency is very, very important. You guys learn when we get there. Learn that dual agency is you represent the seller and the buyer at the same time in the same transaction. If it's different transactions, it's not dual agency. So if I help the seller sell and then the seller now is a buyer, right? Those are different transactions. So it's still a single agency for each transaction. All right. Do you have any questions before we go for a quick break? Natasha, Lilian, see me? Questions? Questions? No? All right, guys. Here's what I'm going to do. It's 11:13. We're going to come back at 11:20. YouTube, I'm going to close this session and open one right after, okay? So you have 7 minutes. Run.